when I first got here, like I had a really hard time because I would compare myself to other people a lot. Hello, welcome back to the video. I'm Sarah. If you don't know me, welcome back. I know I've been kind of bad at posting recently, and so a couple of days ago, I was like talking to someone about like the content that I post, and she mentioned that the stuff I post, I just tend to shy away from posting super emotional things on this channel. And so I guess I wanted, and like I've talked about like, like what it's like being at MIT and things like that, but I thought I would do a video that more captured the state of my current life, which is a video that talks about being, also I don't know why, but I brought my stuffed animal for moral support, but I thought it would be cool, not cool, but like I thought it'd be good to do a video. Ooh, that just fell. To do a video about comparing yourself to others and living in the MIT bubble. So I think that coming here, when I first came to college, there were times when being here made me feel trapped. It felt like I wasn't here by choice, even though I was, and like I had no option but to stay here. Like I couldn't go home, I couldn't leave, like I was tied to this place. And I think that I realized over time that one of the reasons I felt that way was because unlike before, when you're in high school or anything, at least for most students who like, unless you go to boarding school, like your home, your school, like going out to restaurants, like all of that is different. Like you go from your house to your school to get an education, and when you're in college, like your school's on this campus, you live on this campus, you eat on this college campus, and like you really have no reason to leave campus. And like, yeah, you can still go out, you can go to restaurants, you can like hang out with friends, but like you're just so busy that it gets really hard to schedule in time like that. And I've noticed, especially recently, that like all of my like the moments that are just so rejuvenating are the ones where I feel like I'm taking a breath of fresh air from this college. And I know that sounds bad, even though it's not. I think it's just something about resetting, but also reminding yourself that there's an entire world out there. I think as far as I would go, like I would just call it like the MIT bubble. And I feel like it's been so real for me, and there's been a lot of consequences of that feeling too. For one part, it's just, it gets so easy to get caught up in like everything that happens at this school, to just like when you're surrounded by the people at the school and only people at this school for a really long time, it changes your perspective on things, and it also changes how you view yourself. I know that when I first got here, like I had a really hard time because I would compare myself to other people a lot, and on one hand, like I felt like all of these other people were doing so many things. They were so incredible, so incredibly smart. And I think it was actually really good. It pushed me to do more than I probably would have if I hadn't been surrounded with these people. I think I worked harder, I did more, I tried to achieve more, because I still have my lanyard on from today. But just because I saw all of my friends and the people around me doing that. And at the same time, it was also gave me a lot of stress because I set the people around me as my baseline, of like, this is what I should be doing. So like when I saw like all the people around me like getting all these internships, getting accepted into all these programs, getting all these jobs, like I felt not inferior, but it made me feel a lot more stressed because I think I just needed to remind myself that like of where I am and the kind of people who I'm surrounded by. Like so many of these people were like, you go through their Instagrams and they probably gave a valedictorian speech like when they graduated high school. And so I think that you just have to be, at least for me, like I've just had to be really careful with the way that I view this school and making sure that I remind myself that there's a whole world out there. And I think my parents, like I'm so grateful for my parents. They watch these videos, so if you're watching, mom and dad, and if you're like actually listening to what I say, like I think my parents do a really good job of reminding me that there's a lot more to life than like the school. Why am I crying? I don't know why I'm crying, but like one of the things my parents always say to me is like when I tell them about all my plans for like the summer and like what I'm doing right now, they always just tell me to like to breathe and to not overcommit myself. And it sounds weird, but they're the ones who are always telling me like you should probably drop out of some clubs, you're like stretching yourself too thin, or like we are worried that you're working too hard, or even just like you don't need to be doing like an internship. Like if you want, like you can just come home. That's perfectly valid. Like so many people don't work. There are tons of people who just like go home, enjoy their summers, hang out with friends. And I think that I know that if I had the pressure of my parents behind me on this, like constantly pushing me to do more, like I would just break. Like I don't think I could handle that. I would just like spiral into like such a dark place. And so I'm really grateful that they like bring me out of this bubble sometimes. You have to you have to be able to hold yourself, be strong enough in who you understand yourself to be in order to be able to fully embrace the people around you. I think another thing is just like, it's like, yeah, comparing yourself to others is a really big thing. But one of the biggest things that I also noticed happening to myself was I started doing things and I would question whether the motive for doing it was because I wanted to do it or because everyone else is doing it. And like you kind of just like think that like you have so much respect for the people around you, and just like I think it was just this belief that like other people knew what was going on more than I did, and then I was just kind of like, oh, so and so is like doing this, maybe I should do this too. And I think that that's a good mentality to some extent. Like it gives you ideas, like you can learn from the people around you, but I also think it's really important to hold your ground in terms of like, this is the path that I want, this is what I know makes me happy, and I'm not going to feel peer pressured into changing my beliefs. And I just think that's so important. But yeah, I think like recently I've been trying to really go out more, not go out more, but just like one of the things that I used to do a lot in high school was I would always study outside of my house. That was more just to like, I really like the idea of separating. I did that for the sake of productivity. Like I really, like for college apps and stuff, I would always just like go to a coffee shop or go to a boba shop and work there for like a very long period of time, like hours and hours on end, and then I would go home. I'd feel productive. I was always really productive when I went to coffee shops, just because like there were less distractions. And I also really liked the like just the mental idea, like I go home, I'm relaxing, I go out to work, I get all my work done, and then I go home back to this like relaxing and like I don't have to work right now environment. But in college, like, so if, okay, it's like you're a college student, like I'm like, why should I go out and like spend money when there's like literally 1,000,005 like places I can study on campus. And I think with that, one thing that I've started doing is I start going out to coffee shops. And my justification for that is like, first off, it is really productive for me. At least it's more productive than if I sit in my dorm and like probably like check Facebook 10 times, which is such a bad habit. I know. I'm like actually not that distracted. Like I work okay. But I think the biggest thing is like when I go out and I just sit myself in a public environment and I see all these people around me who don't go to my school, who aren't living a very similar life to me, and just sitting there in public is so refreshing. And just it just literally reminds you like there's a whole world out there, and there are so many people who are living such a different life from me, who aren't MIT students, and oh my god, like it's incredible. It's like so refreshing. And just being like, I think it's just part of it is just the people you interact with, honestly. Like being able to interact with all these people, and just even when people come to campus, I think they know who you are, they know you're a student at the school. Like when adults come to this campus, it's still like you're still very much caught up in the MIT bubble. So I I think that's why getting off campus is so important to me. And yeah, I mean, this place is really something for sure. I think if I've learned anything, it's that this MIT isn't really what I expected. Or college in general isn't what I really expected. And I can't say, and like, if you ask me what did you expect, I really couldn't answer that, but it's not, it took me by surprise, I guess. And I do think that my perspective of this school as someone going to this school versus from the outside is really different. I think there are a lot of realities when you go to this school. You change a lot as a person. I think I've definitely changed a whole lot. Like, I was talking to one of my friends from high school yesterday, and like high school, even though it's only been 2.5 months, like it feels like a lifetime ago. Like this place makes you, I feel like I've just grown up so fast. It's so easy to get caught up in the moments of before college, like oh, these are the memories of high school. These are all the memories that I really treasured, and it's just, they feel like a whole other life ago. It feels like my life started 2.5 months ago, or like this chapter of this like life happened 2.5 months ago, and the rest of it is like something I read in a fairy tale. Even though the memories are very much real, and even though the pictures hang up on my wall, yeah. Deep breaths. But yeah. I don't know, I just wanted to talk about that whole feeling of, I guess, comparing yourself to others and getting so caught up and sometimes forgetting that the rest of the world exists. And it's definitely changing. I think with these next few weeks and months, I do see myself getting out a lot more and just experiencing the real world. So I'm grateful, and that is the end of this little segment. Thank you for listening to me talk and low-key cry. So my dog, here he is. He's so cute. This dog I've had since I was little. Definitely had to bring him to college. His name's Doggo, and I love him a lot. Just kidding. Okay, bye. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening. Oh, and subscribe